AI just made humans obsolete, and no one's ready for it. Are you? Hi, my name is Dave Ross. I have started several companies that are multi-million dollars in AI technology, machine learning, and related fields. And here's my input on this topic.
What are the top 3 industries where AI has already outperformed humans in?
I can give you one that I've worked in. It's the most boring industry on the planet, and that's processing the mail. When we started, people would key in with a Cordal typewriter the first 3 numbers or the last 2 numbers of a zip code. And then after doing that for 4 or 5 hours, they go out and shoot somebody, because that was the worst job on the absolute planet. When we went in and changed that so that that was read automatically by a machine, those were the first glimmers of artificial intelligence replacing a human. What happened? Those people went and got other jobs. They didn't go on the unemployment line. The drudge industries are the ones that there's a direct replacement. Like we saw that with that. We saw that with people. You don't have secretaries typing letters anymore. You don't need to anyway. Places where there was drudge work, that's being replaced by artificial intelligence already, and quite adequately for doing that. The second set of industries that are doing it are places where artificial intelligence is simply better at technology than the humans are. Example, when I had lung cancer and I had my tumor removed, my tumor was removed by a robot. Now, the doctor was guiding it in another room, but everything was being done by robotic surgery. Why? Because the robot could stabilize the image, could deal with the things at a half a cell diameter level, far different than a human could be. Did not employ the doctor, but it definitely was a replacement. And then third is the high-tech field. The high-tech field where the actual use of intellectual development that exceeds humans. It's not there yet, but it is coming along, and that is one of the places where AI is developing today, and where I think it will be of the most impact in the future.
Do you think AI should be allowed to replace humans' roles in healthcare or educational system?
I think insofar as AI can replace humans' roles, it will be no different than any other technology in the past that has replaced humans' roles. And the answer is yes, of course it should. What are you going to do? Suppress the development of technology because you don't like the results?
There was actually a high school recently studied in the United States where they have completely replaced teachers, in the sense where the students are being taught by iPads, which is AI intelligent. They only have 3 hours worth of studying, and then the rest is real-world educational things that matter, such as financing, how to start a loan, how to get a loan, how to do your taxes, and that turns out to have a 90% graduation rate. So, what do you think about that, Dave? Do you think that?
I think that is going to work when you have the right student base. The student base that is dedicated and that wants to actually learn. But I know from my own experience that the primary purpose of teachers was not to convey information. It was to inspire. And it was to show people that education was important and so forth. We're nowhere near the place where artificial intelligence on an iPad can do that today. The content and the presentation of the content, sure. We've had computers presenting content for 2 decades. Actually, since I was in graduate school almost 50 years ago, we had computers presenting to us when the professor was out of town. That's not the point. It's the inspiration from another human being that is hard to deal with, that has nothing to do with the conveyance of the information, and nothing to do with the classroom setting, and everything to do with the student being engaged.
So healthcare and educational system needs that human touch.
Well, and those are 2 specific places that they do. A doctor, we talk about bedside manner. Well, and artificial intelligence does not have a bedside manner. And when it does, it's actually grating. I hate being talked to in a folksy way by an artificial intelligence, because I know it's not a human and I don't care. It doesn't need to say please and thank you. It doesn't need to say any of those things for me. But a doctor is a human being, and one has a relationship with one's doctor if the doctor is any good. I remember a friend of mine who's a pediatric neurologist, my brother-in-law actually, saying that if a doctor is going to be really good, he's going to have to separate himself from his patients emotionally, and the good ones never learn how to do that.
We did actually do an interview with
We did an interview with him. It was quite a successful interview with him too. But my point is, artificial intelligence are already disjoint emotionally from the people that they're dealing with. And that's particularly powerful in healthcare where a human is needed for that connection.
So what if they can help us advance 50 years without taking those 50 years from humanity? So for example, if we can use AI for educational system and healthcare, that way we can advance 50 more years without taking the 50 years and having to teach those humans, having to teach doctors, having to teach teachers how to teach in a new way or how to medicate in a new way. Would we take advantage of that, or would we simply ignore it just so we can have that human feel?
You would use it in the places where you don't need the human feel. Medical research, for example. Patients aren't seeing medical researchers except to get their blood drawn for a test sample or something. In that case, you don't need the human touch. You need the gathering of the data, but much more important is you need the analysis of the data. And that is what artificial intelligence today vastly outperforms humans. Not just in medicine, but in oil prospecting, in finance, in a lot of different places. It's already replacing humans, but not where the human touch is needed.
Speaking of replacing humans, how do we define human value in a world where machines are actually doing it much better than them? I mean, you mentioned the doctor and how they took out your lung tumor, but the doctor was operating the machine itself. But we live in a world where the machines are actually replacing the human job.
5 years from now, the doctor wouldn't have been operating the machine. The machine would have been operating itself. As long as it's doing a better job, I would prefer to have the machine do it. Right? I'm not afraid of that. The doctor was in another room anyway, and I was unconscious. It really didn't need the human touch at that point. People will be shifted in what they're doing because of artificial intelligence. And I consider the actual process of surgery to be the grunt work. I don't want to insult, I'm not insulting any surgeons here. What they're doing is miraculous. What I'm saying is knowing what to do and having trained a machine to do it, or having trained another surgeon to do it, are roughly the same thing and require roughly the same amount of human interaction. But surgeons that are robotic, that are driven by AIs, can learn a lot faster and put a lot more information together. They don't get sleepy, they don't get tired, they don't drink too much, and they don't sniff the anesthetics. And that's a real advantage.
So, speaking of advantages, and you did mention that the doctors have to teach other surgeons how to operate and perform, and that really does require human touch, because at the end of the day, that robot that you're teaching, you still have to put that same amount of energy into him or into it. So what skills should people be focusing on that AI can't replicate yet? What skills do you think?
It's the skills that humans have always excelled at and will continue to excel at. Humans have great intuition. Machines don't have intuition, not yet. I don't know if they ever will have intuition. I suspect they will. But humans have great intuition. They know how to put together things, and they have no clue why they come up with an answer, but the answer is quite often the correct one, miraculously so. Can we get there eventually with artificial intelligences? Yes, I think so. Are we going to do that next week? Probably not. So that's one place, a place where human intuition, human intellect, and human reasoning are still required, because humans pull in all aspects of their lives when making a decision in any one area. But artificial intelligence are not general yet. When they are general and are living lives in the world and collecting information, then maybe we should worry about who's going to replace humans. But we're a vastly long way from there.
I see. So are we heading towards mass employment or mass retraining?
I'm not sure we're heading for either. There will be bits and pieces of unemployment. The amount of change that AI has introduced in the last 5 years has been astounding. And there hasn't been any increase in unemployment because of that. There have been people changing jobs, but they tend to be like the surgeon. Instead of being in there slicing away, he's in the other room running the machine. That's the same job done differently. And I think that's where we're going to see people doing things. And then eventually training the machine and directing the machine and deciding when the machine's going to operate. All of those will remain with the human for a lot longer than the mechanics of surgery will.
So is creativity still a human advantage?
Creativity is definitely still a human advantage. In fact, creativity is a human advantage for several innate reasons, not because there's anything wrong with artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence isn't trained on everything, and a human is.
So you think in the next 10 years we can train it?
Yes. I don't know that, because I don't think that there is anything in human intuition that is magical. I think that it is something that people can learn. It's just like I don't think the ability to think and reason and be self-aware is magical. I think that it's something that a machine can learn, but hasn't yet.
Yeah. I mean, we do teach animals how to choose between different things. They can get a treat if they do a certain amount of tricks, or if they do this.
Well, it's more than that. We now know that, for example, that chimpanzees use medicines that they get they put poultices on wounds and things like that, and on each other, and that's a very human action. Now, it's a long way from the way we do medicine, but it's still something.
Yeah. So it is possible to train AI in that matter.
Yeah, it should be possible to train AI to learn anything that a human's capable of learning.
I see. If 90% of jobs disappear, who decides who gets access to income or opportunity?
You're asking the wrong question. Because just because a job disappears doesn't mean another one doesn't appear. And that is by far what I think will happen. I think that the opportunities given by artificial intelligence will vastly overwhelm the disadvantages. I think that, yes, people will be moved from jobs, but they'll move to other jobs that use the artificial intelligence instead of doing what the artificial intelligence was built to do. That's a change, and people will need retraining, and people will need to learn new skills, but that's always the case. That's been the case with technology since the dawn of time. Og and Charlie sitting at the antediluvian lake had to learn how to use fire. And the people who were, producing raw food were displaced by the cooked food. So what? That's been going on since humans were human, and probably before.
So are we afraid that the next generation is going to be more lazy because of the AI intelligence? Is that a fear that's possible? Is that a thing that's possible?
Ever since the human race has been human, the current generation has always thought the next generation was going to be lazy, because that's the nature of humanity. No, I don't think so. I think that when you have the opportunity to get rid of drudge work, you're likely to be less lazy, because work is more fun, more enjoyable. And you get to keep the fun parts, because the AI doesn't care that it's got the crud parts. Let the AI do the crud parts, you do the fun parts. Why not? And what will happen, my belief is that the number of fun parts will expand to fill all available space.
So less people will be miserable at their job, more efficiency, more solutions to problems that have been going on for a very long time, because now AI is doing the dread work, and the humans are actually bringing their brains together and figuring out the real solutions.
That is correct. Humans will, it's not just, though, that human intellect will, because that would only employ the most brilliant. That's not what I'm saying. That will continue to be the case, but that's not all that I'm saying. I think that people of all ranks can find employment that is meaningful. We don't have ditch diggers anymore, or more precisely, we have backhoes. And the absence of ditch diggers has not resulted in mass unemployment. It's just resulted in less ditch diggers.
So the next generation, we're teaching them the right thing, or do you think we're setting them up for failure with all this technology?
I think we're feeling our way. I know that, for example, that teachers do not like kids using AI to write essays. And I can understand that, because they're supposed to be able to teach them how to think, and you're not teaching them how to think if they're using a tool for doing that. I understand that, and I kind of side with the teachers on that one. However, teaching people how to use AIs of all stripes is the most important thing I think we can be doing. So you see the problem. You have the students that are using it on their own and learning how to use it. That is hurting them in the basic purposes of schools, which is to learn how to think. On the other hand, it's absolutely essential that we teach people to use AIs to do day-to-day tasks. This is not a new problem. I still remember, I said before, that Wikipedia came out, that the schools banned Wikipedia because it was too easy a research tool. Well, it just meant that we got better research after a while, and that it didn't hurt the students' learning, it just changed it. And the same thing is going to be true here. We're not going to grade people on their ability to write an essay. We're going to grade people on the ability to structure an essay and determine what the content's supposed to be, and to say it well. On things that show the creativity of human beings, long before the artificial intelligence can duplicate that. And no, in the long term, I don't think that we will be replaced. We're a different kind of thing than an artificial intelligence.
So, did AI make humans obsolete, or?
AI has not made humans obsolete. Humans are making AIs. If you think about that, it's very unlikely that humans are going to let the artificial intelligence make them obsolete. But I don't think that's the right answer. As I said, I don't think we're heading for AIs that produce new AIs that produce Skynet. I think we are heading for AIs that produce new AIs that produce better performance on things. But I don't think general intelligence will be the main use of artificial intelligence. I think it will be a major use of artificial intelligence, but not the main use. I think the main use is going to be in specific areas where it performs even better. Because a system that is trained on everything is not well trained on anything. And training, that's why people, while they may have general knowledge in many things, have areas of expertise. The AIs are going to have areas of expertise, and they're not going to need the other stuff. So I think, for the most part, I think that's going to be the way that artificial intelligences develop. Not, we're going to have a bunch of robots who act just like us. Producing new humans is an unskilled labor. We know how to do it. We've been doing it so that there's, 8 billion of us. So we're real good at that. We don't need more of that. We need other specific purposes.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for your input. I've learned a lot here, and based off your skills with AI, we have made it obsolete. Not it is obsolete.
Thank you all for tuning in. If you liked this, please like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We'll see you next time.